and welcome once again to Wars Going On. I'm Arcturus and we're here on the Forerunner server to bring you the latest in what's going on in Watcher's realms. As ever, this is a community-based podcast, so please do remember to like, share, hype, subscribe, and let others know what is going on with this podcast and get more people involved, because it really does help grow the channel. Today, I'm joined by the Prospector and Sebastian Keynes, and we're going to go over a few things which are happening, and then we will spend a bit more time looking at the Season 11 maps for GvG, what the rewards are, and what the impact of the new demon that's coming in Season 11 could have on the game. Right, so guys, how are you doing? Sebastian?
Oh, I'm doing okay. Go ahead, Prospector. You're the guest. I always let the guest go first. So go ahead.
I'm doing great, guys. I am happy to be here with the two of you. And I am going to be learning a lot more about this GvG stuff as we go through this. I've looked at the maps a little bit, but I definitely appreciate your guys' input as well. And hopefully you guys can get some input from an amateur and see. I don't know. Maybe we'll get some information from me, but it's kind of doubtful, but we'll see.
I'm doing okay. Just a normal week, and then there's going to be a disastrous one coming out. So we'll just have to deal with it. But in terms of the game, would you stop spreading rumors that I quit?
When you stop saying that you've quit, then I'll stop spreading rumors that you've quit.
Oh man, I swear. No, I think people are there are some questions, given that I'm not publishing as much anymore, and that I am dealing with the other games. So I'm trying to get that straightened out, and I'm trying to find content that interests me right now in Watcher Realms. And I cannot say that the new boss interests me, because I know that they're going to have to nerf it. There is no freaking chance that they keep it as is, unless there is a bucket of heroes that just must really sell us. And then suckers are going to go spend $1,000 trying to get them to A5. So, yeah, so it's all little things like that. But I am still doing GvG stuff. And that is the one thing that at least keeps me involved in the game right now, especially with the Rising Horde, because I do still talk to those fellows. If I didn't have GvG, I don't think I'd be playing as much as I am. But I do still have GvG, so I have to keep the account rolling. I have to do everything that we need to do in the background to make sure that we level up all those demon soldiers and everything that's coming out. So, no, I'm still around, people. It's just there are other things I'm preparing myself for in case I do change the scope of the channel. So that's where I am right now.
On the topic of Zerbus and the chaos that he's going to bring to Global, if you haven't seen the video that Fast Videos put out the other day, I was involved in doing some of the editing and the clips for that. But Behemoth has had access to the test server. He has done extensive testing and generated a massive report, which he submitted to the developers. They've kind of not said much about it. As you know, it's arriving on Global on Tuesday. The power creep required to beat this content is insane. It will make Valara look like an epic. It is absolutely incredible. The top guys on Forerunner are doing about 70k, and they have stacked accounts. It's just impossible to push to a certain level, and even then you need Cyrus as a dedicated lord, because his skeletons help mitigate some of the fatal damage that's incoming. It's just absolutely nuts. Check out Fastidity's video. I'll stick a link to it down below, because it's, if we can focus all the feedback in one location, then developers have more idea about what's going on in the community with it. So on a more positive note, so the developers are still sort of secretly dropping content onto the Forerunner server. They released a mini game called Ancestral Legacy. It looks a bit like a Monopoly board type thing. You start here, you do quests, you get dice. There are two types of dice. There are the standard dice, and then there are dice which give you you choose what number you roll, and I've just saved off collecting them just to give you an idea of what content you have to do. You have to give friendship points, you have to level up heroes, spend stamina, kill enemies, things like that. And as you roll the dice, you go around the board, and you'll see that some of them, the tiles, are coloured purple or blue, and these are called like factories. And other tiles give you a gamble. You get to choose how much to gamble in order to try and push your rewards higher. So there you go. I gambled 40, and I got 120 back. No, 60 back. So not a massive.
Yeah, so Prospector was blocking it out, but you'll see a number, and then you'll get to decide how many times you wanna roll that, or how many of those tickets or whatever it is that you want to gamble out to get the rewards.
Now, if you have any of the preset dice left, it's these ones up here in the top corner, and you land on one of these factories, or these that you can upgrade. These factories are 8 tiles apart. Okay, the preset dice lets you choose a number between 1 and 8. Now, I'm not going to tell you how to spend your preset dice, but that would be a very good way of going around and rapidly upgrading all of those towers. So, something to think about. The rewards aren't bad. There's a sort of server-wide rewards, which are a couple of ancients and some summon crystals. You probably can't see those between Prospector and Sebastian. There's a bit of energy and some auto battles. But then the individual rewards, which you get for going around and collecting gems, aren't bad either. So there's a couple of ancients in there. There's some summon crystals. I think there are a couple of skill crystals as well that I got for doing it. So yeah, it's not bad. It doesn't take up a lot of time. You just got to say, oh yeah, I definitely need to spend this much stamina over the next couple of days, and yeah, it goes round, it does its thing, and you get this guy coming in with and depending on how you answer, depending on how many you get. So it's just the standard thing with him. The more right you answer his questions, the more you get. So something to look forward to. Obviously, another thing to look forward to is the return of the zombie horde. And I saw in the news, Prospector, that you're going to be involved in the next battle.
Yeah. We have the Tyus Championship. It's going to be all about the zombie invasion. And I think we're down to 5 guys now because one had to fall out. But still, it's going to be a good time. That's going to be on the 13th, 1400 UTC. So, guys, get your schedule there and make sure you are there and ready to see us go through it. There's been a lot of changes, and you'll be updated as we're going along, as well as rewards for players, our viewers. I think we get to do some kind of drawing as well in there. I think 2 people per stream get to go and get our rewards out. I don't know what they are yet, or the details of that, but they will be coming soon. Definitely gonna put a video out and try to entice people to come and watch. It should be pretty fun. I always enjoy the zombie invasions.
Yeah. I thought they'd be holding it off for Halloween, but yeah, they've brought it out early, so obviously trying to keep people engaged.
No, I was just going to say 1400 UTC for us Americans. That is actually 10 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific. So perfect time for it, I would say.
It's not great in the UK
on
either.
A Monday. On a Monday.
Yeah.
Workday.
I mean, isn't this your job, guys? I mean,
their
don't you just
breaks or
live and
something.
breathe Watcher of Realms?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a timing thing. They should, just work a weekend when you got events like this, the Tyus Championship. Maybe have your employees come in for the weekend. So everybody else has got time to come and watch the streams, I don't know.
Okay, right. So, moving on from that silliness, on to Yeah, if you haven't seen it, there are some notes in-game about the updates to Zombie Invasion. Basically, the waves are coming out faster. They've tweaked some of the effects. They've optimized skills that weren't working properly. And they've added some more quests and things. So I think they've put some thought into it. They've obviously recognized how much people were enjoying it. And yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how it plays out this time and see if we end up with some more mixed up metas, because last time it was very focused on doing, you had to get this, and this, and then you could push on. But the fact that they've raised the level cap to 200 suggests that there might be ways to push on beyond where we were last time.
Yeah.
Everybody, it gives somebody stuff to do and try to push as many levels as they can. I know that some people were just enthralled with the game mode. They would just spend hours trying to push as much as they could. So, if that's
it's like its own game,
stuff,
to be honest, it's good.
If that is the stuff that works for them, and they actually then continue to develop for it, great, go for it. And then we can start working on eliminating Arena from this freaking game.
I mean, to be fair, it's a tower defense game inside a tower defense game, which I think is like slightly meta. But I mean, it's nice that they're keen to bring more varied content to the game. So.
Yeah, I like how you said that, tower defense within tower defense, because if you go to the Google Play Store and just do tower defense and then, you just look at a game, it's like a mini game mode, like just like that. That's all the game is. You're just dealing with waves and stuff like that, picking conditions for you to. So they just kind of copy what a little tower defense game did, and they integrated it into their own model. So yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's a tower defense within a tower defense. Yeah, I love that.
Okay, so right, on to GvG Season 11. So I think probably the first place to talk about is the fact that there is a new Demon Soldier associated with Season 11, and this guy is called the Frozen Raider. He's going to be an archer, sort of a marksman within the Frozen faction, but you're just going to think, marksman, he's not going to do any damage. However, his entire kit, if this loads, and we can see it behind the Prospector's head slightly. Yep, that's perfect. So as you can see the video running, so what happens here is they do bonus damage to units which have Winter's Bite and units which have Frozen. So what's going to happen is you're going to freeze these guys, and they'll do 50% bonus damage to enemies which have Winter's Bite and 100% bonus damage to enemies inflicted with freeze. Now, there's an open question which I know Sebastian has asked the developers in relation to Brokir, because Brokir inflicts freeze upon himself, and as it's written, Brokir is not going to be usable in GvG once these guys come in, because they're just going to be taking bonus damage from the freeze when he does his ultimate.
I have not received the direct answer yet. So there were two angles that I approached this, right? There's one in game, and then there's the other one with the CC contact. Either way, I have not gotten a thorough response yet. But, quote, customer service. As of this time, the game cannot distinguish the Frozen between Broker's passive and the Winter Bite. That's how they left it. I'm supposed to interpret from that then that when Broker's passive procs, these guys are going to do 100% more damage to him. And at level 5, which I think was where the Winter's Bite even improves a little bit, it'll just make him useless. So think about all the people on Platinum 2, Platinum 3 that had the recurs, and that's who they rely on. Boom, this comes to them. So I'm hoping that the developers are able to answer the question down the line. Is the freeze inflicted by these fellows different from the freeze on Broker's passive? And I see you shaking your head because yes, we're going back to War of Embers coding here. No, it's not going to be different freezes. It's not going to be like Raid Shadow Legends that they have one debuff, but it can distinguish between the heroes as debuffs. I don't think that they're able to code it like that.
The only way they
I think
could
they
do
could.
it,
I don't think it'd be that complicated.
I don't think
Just
Well,
it's
they-
will they?
complicated.
Will they?
Yeah, exactly. Will they? Mhm.
will it'll have to be. I mean, they can do different sources of burning, so technically they should be able to do different sources of freeze, but they need to somehow flag it that it's a self-inflicted freeze, and therefore that's exempt from the rules of this. That's far too much work for them. You saw the solution they came up with for Talon. You know what they're going to do.
I mean, they could do it. They could do it. It's definitely programmable. I think that you just have to go to Brokeur's kit and then give him a different name for it. You can actually code it on the back end, so it still is called freeze, but when Brokeur launches it, that it's different.
Yeah.
There's also something to note that Brokeur actually, his defense when his freeze is up is pretty insane. So I don't know if you guys have tried to actually attack a Brokeur yet when he's got a freeze with this guy or not. I don't know. The test server, do they have him on there yet?
Not in the test server yet. No, this is actually one
Okay.
will show up actually at season 11, and we have to collect the fragments from the chest as we progress through the weeks, right?
Right.
So
right.
whoever can get them first will be the first, unless the developers finally listen to me and drop this guy in the test server for us to look at it. But as
Yeah, I
it
know,
stands right now, as it stands right now, that at least how it was described to me, there's no distinguishable way in terms of the Winter's Bite freeze versus his passive freeze. Now, like you said, they could code it. I mean, I don't know if it's, how hard it is, but there could be two different types of freeze here, or they could rename it like we had the poison and the neurotoxin thing. So we'll see. We'll see.
I mean,
if there's
they
something
could
that
call
comes
it like
from-
iceberg or something on Brokir, because that's basically what he does.
Yeah.
He buries himself inside an iceberg.
Looks like, yeah.
So, yeah, and then he's inflicting freeze on enemies when they attack him. So, I don't know, but at the moment, it looks like Brock is in trouble. It's not as we said. It's
It's like Prospector said, though. It's like he gains insane stats when he's frozen. So I'm wondering if in the dev's mind is going to be that whole "it'll make up for it" type of deal. You already have a Brokeur, the defense goes up, HP goes up, especially if you have the artifact and stuff with it.
Big shield.
Yeah.
so
So I think when we start seeing the numbers pop up, especially if you're going Brokeur versus Cyrus, and you start playing around with this fellow, we'll see. We'll see exactly how this whole thing plays out.
So someone did even suggest that you could deploy these guys with the Infernal Shaman, so that not only is he doing bonus damage to freeze you, you're then setting the guy on fire with the bonus, the infliction of that. So that could be very, very nasty, but it could be very interesting to see how that would play out.
No, I think
They
from
did
the
say,
clip
though,
that
they want.
No, I think from the game clip, though, they do mean him to be paired up with the mage, the ice mage, but that inflicts the Winter's Bite. But yeah, like you said, if in fact Brokeur's passive just works like Winter Bite, people are gonna cheese it. It's gonna be worse than the Grotesque Fiend. It's like Brokeur is out of the map. There's no way. I don't see it.
Yeah. And people will be rushing level 5 as well.
To note that. Remember, don't forget that Moon 10 did say that they want the demons to overpower the heroes. Now, how far? I don't know. You got an answer for a Brokeur in your defense. Maybe they come out with an answer for Cyrus. Maybe they come out for an answer to encourage different kind of strategies. I would assume that eventually it can balance out a little bit better. In the end, you have to bring that comp to deal with the Brokeur. It's another way of, I guess, making variable teams in GvG instead of always going in there with the same one. So I think Grotesque Fiend is just the beginning, personally. And the demons are just going to get stronger and stronger as we keep going. But that's just my take on it.
Well, I mean, if we're looking at power creep, the heroes are going to get stronger and stronger too. So I think it's just a case of where things are in the balance at the moment. Things are currently tilting towards the demon soldiers. If this works as we're reading it, and then the next round of heroes comes out, Ryzen looks to be really good as a single target, so he could be really good counter to some things that are coming up. But we'll have to see how things plan out over the next couple of seasons. So, yeah, these guys coming to the game, these are going to be your demon reward. They could really mix things up. We don't know exactly how, but yeah, it's looking definitely like there's going to be some impact here.
And then the two new ones that are going to play a factor in global, at least for the last 2 weeks of the season, Gauntlet as well, and then going into season 11 is going to be the Templar is going to be the first one. Yes. Now, for those in Plat 3 and Overlord, this might not have too much an effect unless you're using archers, mages, but the no healing comps that were really prevalent in top Overlord are going to be affected by this. There is no way that some heroes are going to be able to remain alive, given how many times they hit with their basic attack, and this thing lasting for 3 seconds at 25%. It was a 25% burn. Yeah, that no healing strats that were going on, they're gone.
Yeah, I've seen some Yimerits which had attack intervals below 1 second, and that is just going to absolutely annihilate them on things like that when they're positioned outside the range of a healer. So
so this guy is going to defenses.
Yeah. So it's essentially what this is going to do is going to force you to try to get pretty much all of your composition within the healer's range. Anything that is far above without healers, they're going to be gone. Your chaotic units are just going to disappear from the maps if you don't protect them with something. A constant healing shield or something like that. Those are going to be the guys that are going to be affected. And then anything that is hitting long range,
Yeah, because obviously Sargak, A3, he does bonus damage to elites and bosses, and he's been a pretty hard counter to things like the lightning guards. And this is going to be really problematic for him, because once he's done his ultimate, you trigger him with something light, and then you send this guy in. He's generally out of heal range. He gets one hit on these guys, poof, up in smoke, game over.
So I'm not going to say RIP chaotic units, but they're in danger, man. If this thing gets close to them or they get hit by them. Yeah.
And Ardia is another one who loves to have a really low health pool. But Lubu might be okay because he does his whole thing with his shield. So he'll probably have a bit more survivability from it.
Yep.
Depends how long it takes to take the tank down.
Yeah. And the next ones are the rats. We mentioned these guys last time. They're going to have they seem to be having an impact with the Lord, the Slaughterer. Sorry, the Slaughterer, not the Axe, not to be confused with the Axe Slaughterers. So they're having more effect with him because they're helping keep him alive that little bit longer. And obviously, the longer he stays alive, the more damage he can put out. Anything which keeps him ticking over. You can use them at level 5 as a substitute for spiders, but then it's because you get one more. They do work. They do help keep whatever's they're going against, support whatever you've sent in, but we'll have to see how they plan out.
Yeah, so level 5
grotesque, right?
You can pair them with a grotesque. They would heal the grotesque for up to 20% if at level 5, 15% at level 3, and But I mean, he's already got so much healing based in. It's hard to sort of work out where the benefit would be. I have started to see people trying to make use of anti-healing now on GvG defenses to counter the Grotesque Fiend. Obviously, that does limit some of your units. I would take this as an opportunity to appeal to the developers to give Demi A1 the same range as Diao-chan A1 so that she can be more viable in GvG and not limit it to a small portion of her GvG duration.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this guy was made for the chaotic opt-in. Because you're getting a level 5, you're getting an additional 1, so you're boosting the healing from 15 to 20.
Yeah.
So that's and not only that, he has a revive on top of it. Yeah, no, this is supposed to complement the chaotic units a little bit, but luckily they don't blow up on you, so they do
small amount of damage. They don't do AoE arena attack damage, but yeah, it's more about healing than it is about explosions, thankfully. So we kind of covered the Demon Soldier states recently. So Sandbox, Season 11 maps. Let's have a look at the towers. First, I have a couple set up. They're not perfect, but they give you an idea of what you can do on this map. So obviously your spawn is here, your exit is over here. You have a number of tiles. Let me just pull one back. So you can go for a nightmare comp here, but the first thing you will note is that this is fully snipeable from the deployment zone. So you just bunching up your units on this portion of the tower is going to cause you a lot of problems. You could go for a defender platform, but this tile here behind Regulus is targetable from deployment, so it's very difficult to make good use of a sort of a standard nightmare comp in this location.
The only thing that I would see coming into play would be the Valera trick that we had here in Season 10, right? Because one of the things with that tower, and especially putting Valera up top on the ground tile facing down, one of the things that allowed it is that it allowed you to work that kink, right? So the Grotesque Fiend had to turn to engage the tank, but Valera would then push him back, right?
Yeah.
So let's be honest. GvG right now is Valera. It's all about Valera. So the one position would be placing your tank where Regulus is, and then you have Valera where you have, I think it's Nisa, right? Yeah, Nisa.
Yeah.
That's when they're there, and then you just got to make sure that your healer is in a position where it can get everybody, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so then you could have a mage on this platform where I just put Demi, and you could put a marksman up on this corner. It does make it very, very tight. You are very, very limited in terms of crowd control outside of Valera. And yeah, you could end up getting flown over if you're not careful, or if you get bad RNG on when she triggers, then you could get pushed through.
Yeah, I mean, there are ways to combat the flying stuff, the flying strats with Valera. But here is the thing now, is that even if you put it like this together, you have to take into account all the demon soldiers, right? So how many hits will it take Valera to disappear if a Templar were to show up? It doesn't even have to be, you're not going up like a gross stacks Finn strategy here. Is now you have to make sure that you're adapting to everything that is in the field. So even if I were to place a healer down Regulus to make sure that he's covered, Valera's not covered. There has to be a way to heal her to make sure that she doesn't get sniped off the map by the Bernie. So it's all of this stuff now that you have to take into account when you're putting that type of defense together. I think you might be able to get away with it for the first couple of weeks, but once he starts making his appearance, it's going to change how we really are able to position our defenses together.
Yeah, I don't know of anyone who has him yet, but I think he's going to be really problematic to anyone, as you say, who has sort of like those no defender ones where it was like Ivar, Lady Alex, and Diao Chan, and they were just covering themselves, and something like I in a tank just to slow everything down while Lady Alex and Ivar tore everything to pieces. So, yeah, I think he's going to really be a hard counter to those. So we'll have to see how it pans out.
So in terms of placing anything in that engagement point, on those first 3 engagement points, it has to be something like this. So whether it's tile 1, 2, or 3, you can't have anything that you're giving a direct shot to the demon soldiers to take you out. So yeah, if you place the tank up there, those 2 additional ground tiles, I would not use them. If you place them in the second part of the ground tiles available to you, you take out that platform unit. You cannot use that any longer, so you have to back one up. So yeah, so it's kind of, we have another dead zone here, is what I like to call it when it comes to the map. Right, so
I mean, you can just about get an Ingrid back there to cover in front there if you do go to that, but again, you're limited in what you can put in that tile. You've got your Arakas, you've got your Arrogance, etc. Numera is another one who might go in there. So there are things that you can fit into that location that would cause problems. Obviously, with Osiris, you probably want him.
I wonder if we're going to get a healer with Dio-chan range, but it's not, Dio-chan is supposed to be a support unit that it's supposed to enhance your attack. There is some protection if you can get her to switch, but I'm wondering if there's going to be some type of healer that's coming that has like 2 tiles back, 2 tiles front that it can heal. Aside from an Esren,
Aylin?
No, Aylin is not good enough for GvG though. That's the problem. She doesn't heal a whole lot. Once you get that ult out, her basic doesn't really do too much healing. There is no protection provided by Ellen, unfortunately. It has to be something that you're getting some type of damage reduction protection. That's why Earless is so good, because
Alien literally has damage reduction built into her kit once she's got to full
but
stat.
She doesn't heal a whole lot. She doesn't heal well.
They're baby heals. They're baby heals, like 10 to 12k.
Yeah, heal, dude. It's just too simple to get around her healing. Unfortunately,
have to use more tanks that can heal.
Yeah,
Marksman with Ecors on.
Okay, so that's kind of like the first 2 tiles. With the first 3, you kind of saw what I had set up when it came in. You could have something like that with Ingrid back here. Obviously, as we've already said, as soon as that fire tank starts dropping, he's going to cause problems. But in the short term, something like this would probably do. Yeah.
I just want to, I'm curious. I want to see it in practice as to how much those burns do damage. I mean, is it going to be instantaneous? Does the hero have at least 1 minute before she's burned off? I mean, it's just all those type of questions that I have right now. But just the fact that now we have a demon soldier that, can hurt you, and if you don't have a healer placed in the proper platform, it's gonna be tough to counter him. It's just, that's gonna be, and then is how quickly can we bring him down, right? Once he's affiliated, is he gonna behave like a normal Templar, where if you have any type of normal or damage and sustain it, magic damage, now that's a different story. But just little things like that, we'll see.
Yeah, I don't think he's got as much defense as the standard Templar, but I mean, the thing is, that those letters are in comparison to other units of that category.
Oh, no, you don't go by. It has to be by your affiliation. Yeah.
I get that, and you and Prospector have done amazing work on sort of like how to build BP on Prospector's website. If you haven't checked it out, prospector.gg. Then that's going to help you build your soldiers most effectively, so you can get the max HP on that guy to be what he is. So.
Yeah, and they do have the details. Like if you go into the demons and you view them, you can see the actual stat versus the letter grade. So I don't know what it is with the Templars versus the old ones, but I'm guessing it's not as high. Personally, I just feel like it's not going to be as high. Probably a little easier to take out. But the good thing is with that map there, placing him down with a fool is not going to be that hard.
No.
Demon Soldier.
It'd be really easy, actually.
So Templar currently is considered
if you go
S
on the
SS.
details, click on that.
Yeah. So this is
Then you can see their
unaffiliated.
actual stats.
Yeah, 15714, and but that's at level 7, and these guys coming in are 91,324. Now, obviously that's going to scale, and they will scale better because they're legendaries. So yeah, with a couple of levels in them, and once you get them to a minimum of level 3, you're getting the extra 10% on top, which isn't displayed in the details page. Then they'll probably be sort of getting up to that sort of level. So it's not a perfect comparison, but it gives you an idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so sandbox, back to the towers. Okay, so ignoring my own personal horrible setup on this particular one, so that's kind of we talked about the upfront bits here. If you go here, you can start placing units behind, but obviously you've got the same challenges about how to keep everyone alive. I mean, that works, but then you've got no healing up on this platform here, and it's in Garnet Guard range. Those guys still exist as well for extra fun and games.
Yep.
Yeah, so you can probably do something along this line, because he gets extended range, so he would tap onto there. But then you're having to drop you need a long range AoE unit here, and you've got very limited magic damage in this composition.
So I'm gonna let
Edwin's gonna come back.
I'm gonna let Prospector talk more about the defenses that he sees in his tier. But I can tell you from the Overlord tier, when I look at this, one of the things that you could say is you could try to put in a Cyrus with a Nastia, and then use Nisa, and then you have some type of CC as well, along with your healer. In that kind of setup, though, you do want to make sure that you do have CC control, because if there isn't anything to slow things down, somebody's just gonna release the speedster, and you're gonna get bombed. That was one of the classic things that we saw with some of those compositions in Season 10. So the same thing will apply here, especially when you have these kinks work in. And if you clump things up, you're asking for that, right? So this is why every time we put in a defense together, we try to think of way to slow things down. It's just make sure that there's no way to rush it through. So in that regard, just think about how you can take advantage of those kinks, or with those turns. How you're going to be able to place your units to make sure that you don't get bombed. In this type of setup too, I will say that with Glacius, you can pretty much just truck through and get through it. That's one of the unfortunate things, unfortunately, with the Frostborns, is that we were able to, especially with the legendary guards, It was eventually have him put the Winter Spike, Glacius Gate through. He does his damage. Once everybody's frozen, just send the dogs out. So that is unfortunately just one of the ways that stuff has been figured out as well. So do the best that you can. There is, unfortunately, like Arturo said, there is really no perfect defense now because the demon soldiers are overpowering you. So it's all now is a balance on whether your BP can outmatch the BP of the attacker. That's essentially what it's coming down to. So
yeah.
Yeah, I think eventually we're just going to have so many demons in the mix that the idea is just making sure that you bring the right ones. And that's going to be the goal. I mean, as far as who can be beat, I don't think you're going to have an unstoppable defense eventually. I think that's going to be off in the wind. I think they're trying to nix that. That's kind of makes people not want to engage if there's too many defenses or too tough. So I think they want it to be so that you have a chance no matter what. There's a way to be a defense. So that being said, I don't know. It's just still gonna be tough, but
yeah. So in the previous episode, when I was talking to Arturos about the demon soldier situation, it's essentially what I said is that they pretty much, at least for the end gamers, they devalued all the investment that they made on the previous demon soldiers. But those that are in Plat 2, Plat 3 coming up the ranks, they're still going to be able to use the slaughters and the daggers to try to bring it on a tank or try to get through a Torador with Carnelian. That type of strats will be still effective. It's just unfortunate that once you start climbing up the ladder, now that is like, now you're really more reliant on making sure that you have Kirby at level 7, that you do have Glacius, that you have the other captain units, because otherwise you're not going to be able to match up the BP of the defenses from everybody that has everything awakened 5, right? So it's just, in terms of the evolution of Guild Wars, that's essentially, I think, how they have really changed it to. Now that we have clusters or demon shoulders, one set allows you to progress, one set then allows you to make the next big jump, and then the other set allows you to be competitive. So I think, perspective, you have more of a keen observation right now as to whether the slaughterers and the like the knights, the carrions, the daggers are still being used. I can tell you from my angle, I have not used them, even though they're level 8, level 9. I haven't used them because it's just really hard now to get through those defenses now, especially when I'm seeing A5 Lady Alexandras, A5 Nisas, A5 Nastias, A5 it's Nastia. We call her Nasty though, because she can be nasty at level 5. But Nasty at level 5, A5, it's just, it changes everything. So now you're just restricted to how many demon soldiers you can use. And like you said, there's going to have to be GvG fatigue eventually, and that's why they put these bot strongholds. But I really don't know how that's going to change the dynamic within the guild, especially if you're in a guild that really kind of cares about GvG, but then you have players that just go hit the stronghold. It's just
yeah. I guess you have to really organize that one, wouldn't you?
Exactly. So I haven't seen anything about the strongholds yet here in season 11. So I don't know if they're going to implement that when the season kicks in. But this is one of the things that I was telling Arturos, that I was waiting, because especially from the dev interview, they said, we're going to clear league tiers, or, we're going to tier this thing. And I really thought maybe they meant, okay, in Overlord, we're not going to get the bot stronghold, but if you're in Plat 2, Plat 1, maybe you see them. And I was going to say, if you put strongholds in Overlord guilds, it's going to be essentially nobody touch that, and then just cause headaches down the line. So we'll see.
Well, I think you said in the last 10 minutes or the last hour, people would be calculating, okay, how many attacks have we got left? How much can we get down the BP by attacking the bot stronghold? Should we do this? Yeah, so I think there's going to be some gamesmanship going on with it for season 11. So, if it's available into Overlord guilds. I know some people are like, oh no, it shouldn't be there at all. But honestly, Forerunner is a mess. and but I will just show you the gladiator gauntlet of the guild we're up against at the moment. Sorry, scammers. I'm not meaning to embarrass you. I'm just like talking about the state of the game at the moment here. So we come in here. This is like half the guild's towers are empty.
Yeah.
Bacon.
And
yeah,
this is a problem. I mean, okay, this is Forerunner. This is the top 32 guilds on Forerunner, and half of the towers are empty. Now, I know Global is...
It's 5 or 6 that are really active in GvG. 5 or 6 guilds that are active in GvG. There's no... Yeah, I've joked about this. Even if you put all the best and Forerunners into one guild, I really think that they would struggle pushing into Overlord in Global because of how... that mess in there. Yeah, I mean... You and I are going to have to talk about doing a Death of the Forerunners episode sometime. But yeah, you can tell that the competition here is not what it used to be. So,
yeah.
And unfortunately, now I can only draw experience from top guild type Overlord. And I don't think that really or that I'm really reflective of what a normal player sees. Because they're trying to put defenses together with Broker and Suwon Kong, low awakening type of defenses, right? Maybe they have Carnelian, maybe, but they only have like Lily to rely on, Esrin to rely on. It's just like, it's like stuff that I don't see anymore.
I was going to mention the current rank that I'm sitting at with the Guild and Miners Inc. is going to be 132.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, we should make Gauntlet. That being said, most of the teams that you guys are seeing is about the same that we're seeing. And every once in a while, we'll run into a lower guild. And what we see is that they still have the same teams, but they're just lower awakenings. You're kind of facing the same thing, but we have players that are lower, that can compete against that. It kind of makes sense. So I think we're still doing the last 2 fights of the season, the only thing that matters. And I thought in the dev interview we had a long discussion about that they were planning on changing that. It could make it a little bit better. I know every time we get into Gauntlet, we might be just barely getting in, and we end up running against one of the top 5 teams every single time. Just getting knocked out right away. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do with that. Hopefully that gets better, but as of right now, everything seems to be smooth, but we do see the same teams: Valara, Kratos, Ingrid, and one defender. And even though we run into some really top guilds every now and then, you still have to level up your demons, and it takes a significant amount of stamina. You guys know exactly what they did with stamina recently. They basically nerfed what we can get for free. And I think what they're trying to do is to push us into farming void cores much more often, and then spending money on stamina and not just heroes. So I think that's the idea. And in order to push into those top guilds, you still have to be a kind of a whale or a kraken or even a CC. Somebody like me, I struggle trying to sit here and farm with all the diamonds that come in from content creator rewards. And all I do is just farm at the same time. I know guys that have like level 11 grotesques right now, and I'm just getting 7. And now I put everything I had into it, since it came out. So yeah, I mean, it's still tough.
Everything is accessible in the game. You're not buying extra stuff, or you're not spending the fee. You're not giving them the extra diamonds for the last 1,000 energy, are you?
No.
Oh, so you're just getting what used to be a normal rate, try to possibly get the pots in the shop, and that's what you farm, right? And I can tell you that there have been days where I farm what I can get, and then that's it, and I shut the game off. It's not like it used to be before, where I could continuously have it set up in the background to farm. So yeah, definitely there's a change there. Now, I love the fact that you mentioned monetizing stamina. Just briefly here, Destin recently published a video from an account that he was able to get access to or clips of, where this player that is in the 100-day range was able to 60k of this without Suwon Khan and Kigiri, right? But listen, the joke going, at least that was going in the cluster, is that 60k example essentially came down to what we're estimating to be $1,000 per 1,000 points, okay? Because we are estimating that this player spent about 60 to 70k A5 in all those heroes, and on top of that, spending everything that he was getting the packs in the stamina shop so he could catch up in terms of gear. And because of the amount of farming that he was able to do just by buying everything in the shop that was available that day, right away, he was able to get most of his demon soldiers into the level 8, level 9. And he was, once he pushed 21s, he would do set of farming. Once he got to the 24 in GR2, he pushed again. And then he went to GR1 and then GR3. And essentially was like, that's exactly what I meant.
Yeah.
When they changed the whole stamina, is that progress now is not free. You have to pay for it, especially if you want to catch up really quickly. And this one guy did show that with 60k, he could catch up to the end game really, really quick because of everything that was available in the shop to him.
There are a lot of questions about the gear on that account because that was absolutely nuts.
You just farm it up.
It is good gear because you have to survive in that 60k run. The gear that he has, especially with what he was able to forge, it allowed him to progress. Listen, GR1 has become inconsequential. All you have to do is really farm GR2, GR3, get the mats, gear dungeons, get the mats, and you got to try to crank out that forge, and hopefully you get that nice 4 substat piece in Wicked Vengeance. That's really all you need to progress that part. That's why I don't really farm GR1 anymore. I do, just to maybe get Brave Conquest points or whatever it is that you need. But that gear dungeon is not as essential as he once was. You just can push GR2, GR3, get the mats, go forge, get some very good Wicked Vengeance, Lights of Grace pieces, just enough to push it through. That's what he did. And that's all. Just going here. I'm gonna get what am I seeing for stamina here? There's a pack. There is the yellow. So pack 3,000 in. Yeah, the yellow impact. It just little things like that, and he would just clean out that shop that day and just continue to farm as much as he could, as long as he was able to get all the diamonds, anything regarding privilege cards. Those new little packs don't have energy on them yet. There are a couple pots there.
Yeah,
you could get 2 daily pots there by spending the $5. So yeah, I mean,
like you just go into spending for diamonds, right, over and over again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They have the diamonds you can just pick up in there, and then there's a limit on how many you get, but you just max out every single day. That's a lot of farming if you max out every day.
Yep. So I mean, you can catch up in terms of your demon soldier levels and trying to get as many of those chests as you can and stuff. Yeah, you can catch up. You just have to pay up for it.
Okay. Trying to keep this episode on focus. It's very easy to get into it, but yeah. Okay, so it becomes insanely difficult to get up a decent defense towards the back of the map. You might be able to do something long range with some marksmen where I've just dumped Ingrid, but you're going to have to be running an Ivar, and they're going to be trying to snipe this tile here. You have a defender there. But remember, any ground tiles here are within snipeable range of whatever's coming around the corner. It's a difficult map to defend. It's quite tight. It's lots of turns. So you're looking at platform units where you can kind of hold yourself back slightly, or if you're having them, another mage kind of on close to the defender, then so that they can get in front of your defender here. That they've got enough HP on, because the chances are they're going to be getting something to their face, either from a necromancer or from a shaman or something which decides to target platform units over the tank on its approach. So yeah, it's pretty tricky map to defend on the ground tiles as far as I can see. Yeah.
Looks like there's a lot of snipeable locations there too.
Mm-hmm.
Even Ingrid's probably not questionable.
I think, yeah. I don't know. I'm just dropping a tile there to kind of give an example of what you could do. I'm not saying that this is something I would set. But yeah, it's a very... I think...
No, but it's three to the side, one up. That's the range of the archer, isn't it?
Well, that would put it in there, so...
That's a dead platform if you put the tank down there.
That whole row there, if you don't guard the front end, edge of it,
it's a dead zone.
That's all screwed. Yeah, like this.
The trouble is, you can't, back there. Because they've grayed out this ground tile immediately behind the tank on every corner, it makes it really difficult to build a solid defense involving ground units. You're pretty much restricted to having a single defender and then using as many platform units as you can to apply the damage. And that's really limiting what you can do. But obviously that leaves you very susceptible to swarm attacks on this map.
So if I were to be putting my diagrams together right now for season 11 map, if we put that the designation point of the tank being where Regulus is, I'm pretty much labeling everything around the dead that is in front of him, right beside or in front of him, right? So this is one of those positions that I did not like about this map. It's those two ground tiles there to start there as the engagement point, because there's nothing really that you can set up unless you cluster all 5 on the bottom and put Regulus 1 up front, and then bring everything down and keep everything put together. Yeah.
I mean, if you do something like a double tank setup here, that gives you a bit more flexibility. But it's going to be something like, it's going to be solid tank and then something like a well-built Talon, or and then you have maybe a healer just off to one side. You have a ranged unit, but then you're still really limited in what you can do, because you can't use the platforms here. You can't. Well, you can use that one, but those 4 tiles are dead. I guess you can pull the healer back one more, but
yeah, you just have the 2 tiles left to work with.
Yeah,
probably what you're going to see a lot of is Ingrid's going to be right behind Neja there. Yeah,
and then you have something there. So.
The only thing I don't like about this too is that this is a perfect eating point for Grotesfin. This is just too easy for the Grotesfin, unless you can just blow him off the map. But just the fact that you have a regular setup in a position where you're giving the Grotesfin 2 tiles to work with, even if you have somebody like Valeria pushing back, he doesn't have to make that turn. It's all direct, so he can just do his double chump, and then that's it. You're gone. So yeah, so it's gonna be in the keep for season 11. There were certain defenses like this that were set up on the bottom left. You don't have those extended ground tiles anymore, where you can put a Nisa to kind of help you protect in that manner. But at least in those type of setups, there was a way to combat the Grotesfin, unless you really ran into one that was really overpowered. But I mean, I'm thinking right now, my thinking is that I'm going to try to avoid this part of the map here at the start. And either I'm going to make my engagement point right at the beginning on the top right, or I'm going to try to come up with something here on the back.
No, I don't like that. Because that's, if we're right and you can hit that with a mage, If you get bookkeepers in there, that entire structure is dead.
No, I'm talking about putting
Yeah.
the tank there, but everything go back behind that, and then work from there. Even though a lot of people are going to say this is an Ingrid map, I'm just not seeing too much out of Ingrid here. It's, unless you put her on the bottom somewhere. But yeah, aside from that,
I
seems
think
too easy.
you could use Ingrid here in this position, so that they'd come around and they'd get the tank in range, and so they'd focus the tank.
Yeah. Right.
But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's still. You could then maybe have 2 platform units over here, trying to lay down additional damage, but they're out of range of the healer, so you need to bear that in mind in how you build them. Obviously, with that new tank coming in, could cause additional problems. I mean, this tank, where I'm just holding Nizar here, would actually land just in front of Regulus, so yeah, there's definitely a damage tile there that's 1 step back, but it's still in Garnet Guard range. So yeah, build appropriately.
Gonna be tough. Looks like it's gonna be tough.
It's going to be tough. Yeah, and again, there's another you can have Demi back here as well to have a bit of fun and games with slows and anti-heal. So
Yeah, you better have Carnelian for that setup though, right there.
yeah.
Because those Gardener Guards are going to come in through the bottom there and they just target. Unless, you can keep Demi from popping her ultimate, but I don't think that it's going to happen.
No. So yeah, that's kind of like the sort of the middle back there. If you're putting your defender there, then I can't see many solid setups unless you're trying to use an IFR based team with an Erlang pointing around the corner, so he's getting a bit of protection cover just in front here. But they're just so limited on platform tiles if you do that. Yeah. Because you've got 1 platform tile there. You've got the one just to the side of him, but that's in Garnet Guard range. That's useless. That's kind of okay.
It is.
So that's 1, 2, 3, 4,
there. Maybe we'll figure
5.
something out.
Yeah, and that's it. And then you can't build a team any further back than that. So you could build a team around there. So assuming, Erlang fits here. So you can do something with this, assuming that Ingrid was another unit. Everything's quite clustered, but it's a defense. I really don't like saying that about the team. It's just a defense because
it's something. It's something.
It is something, but that's the trouble with this map. It's really difficult to look at it and come up with this looks really solid, but you can't have the standard Nightmare comp anymore. It just doesn't. It's not allowed. So
I don't know, my spidey sense is going off with this type of setup here. It's just too easy. It looks too easy. Unless maybe you have Valera that you can put her on the side there. But
yeah.
It's no. And if you don't have enough CC here, you're just gonna boom. We just blowed you up. We're gonna send those bombs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that corner looks awful.
I am yet to see somewhere on this map where it isn't looking awful at the moment. It's a pretty nasty map.
I don't know.
And this is just the tower, ladies and gentlemen. Right, so yeah, I think that's kind of it, because I don't think you can build any further back because there's not enough tiles all in. You might try and have like a 2-phase defense or something, but the fact they've got 3 tiles around that is
that's going to be like the rare appearance in Plat 2, right? Somebody that is just trying to put something together because they need to, or they were told. So they're just going to cluster 3 units and put 2 platforms somewhere in there, and then any astute GvG player is going to look at it and say, "Oh, I can get through this. No big deal."
Yeah,
But,
Bookkeeper on the way in and Lightning Guards to follow.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, the tower's looking pretty bad, everyone. I hope you've got lots of strong heals. I hope you've all got multiple copies of Yearless, and you find some way to make her deployable at multiple times. Because yeah, this is going to be not fun. The Keep, I think, has got some potential. I think this is going to cause some interesting setups. So I've been playing around with this setup, and this is surprisingly strong. And it seems to hold pretty well when I've been testing it with a Lords of. It probably doesn't hold up against Glacius, but it's certainly holding up against my Infernal testing. But it's quite nice because you've got some long corridors to defend against. You've got nice choke points to hold people to.
Well, and then the reason that Ingrid would work here in this setup here is because as soon as you start engaging, she'll start, doing her solar flare, and as you release demon soldiers, they're gonna get cut in that range, right? When she starts overloading. So yeah, that's what makes it a little bit intriguing here for her. The other stuff that I was already seeing, or that I was already contemplating here, it could be the Iobar with Lady A interaction here, especially if you have a healer, because you can cover both of them. So as soon as the demon soldiers start coming out, you start targeting them. You can get, you start getting, and then just add some CC to slow things down.
Yeah, I mean, I did have a look. There are 2 ground tiles up front here, but they are targetable over this pyramid. I'm sure they intend to make this pyramid as a non-targetable block, but the demon soldiers still seem to shoot through it.
No, that's all in the case.
Yeah.
Now,
Sorry, go ahead.
And then those platforms right above Prospector Head, the platforms those are not targetable because they're 3 range out, right? So the archer, I think, only had the archer has 3, right? Or 2. So yeah, so if you want to use that one on the bottom there, you can.
Yeah, so there's things you can do around here. Yeah. If you want to use a standard mage rather than demi, you can get some hits there. Obviously, that makes Ingrid somewhat useless in that position. That setup doesn't work because you'll lose your Nazar to a pair of bookkeepers. But yeah, this is holding pretty well up until the point when those fire demons start appearing, and then I'm going to be in trouble.
The new Templar pops in and takes out.
Yeah, the new Templar is going to cause me headaches, but I'll deal with that when I start seeing them. Until then, I think this is looking pretty solid. And
now, if Munton is trying to get us to use those debuffing healers in GvG, it's not going to work, fellas. Tallulah still bug as crap, and she sucks for healing. So no, that's not going to be the way to do it. So I don't care.
That hero has so much potential. It just doesn't work, man.
That poor gal. And yeah, so even trying to bring LON back into the fold, no, because she doesn't rage boost great, but healing, no, not in GvG. She's too weak for that. Carnelian still comes into play, so I mean that's still going to be one of my top healers to rely on.
Definitely.
So no difference. Yeah, so it's unfortunate.
You're going to see a lot of Ezrin.
I was thinking that there might be some situations we can probably bring Ezrin in. It's just I don't know.
I think
He would
Ezrin,
have-
especially if he's running his maxed out artifact and he gets the proc on that could be really useful, especially if the fire demon and you've got units dotted around the map, and then he's suddenly like ticking over. It adds the RNG element into the defense side, which always messes up repeatability for attackers. So
Right.
yeah, I think there's some potential there if you do want to have a limited healer comp or to have dispersed units around the map to do interesting things, then he might be someone you consider. Obviously, you've got the 4% damage is reduced to a very low amount. When his ultimate triggers, I think it's down to 7%. So, yeah, there are things that you can do with him that would make it interesting, but we'll have to see how that pans out in reality.
And then the only other hero that I can think of that could add some RNG factor to this is Eunomia, but she's not really a favorite for the top Overlord. So maybe some people can get around it with Plat 2, Plat 3. So we'll see.
So that was, we were saying you could start there, and then yeah, you could build something with some archers shooting up here, were you saying maybe, Sebastian, you had people facing the spawn location, or were you just thinking facing up as they were coming around the corner?
No, I think that's fine, because as soon as they're out of range, or people can just, as soon as they're out of range, then your units become useless. I'm just saying that here there is a play for those two platforms for you to do something if you don't like to cluster everything up top.
Mm-hmm.
But like I was telling you, just the fact that there are those piercer type compositions in High Overlord, or if you have Lady A with Iobar, that you have two possible positions here where you can take advantage of that formation. It's just you just gotta prepare yourself for the Templar when he does show up.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to stop you going Lady Alex, Iovar, tank, Diao Chan down here, and then something else up here. So they've got some survivability with support from Diao Chan, but then you've got something else over here, but obviously you're going to need a dedicated healer to your defender, because otherwise you're not going to have a way of countering anything that's coming in. Unless your damage output is that good. Okay, so that's kind of the front two tiles we've talked about. If you start pulling the defender back to about there, then this tile is still viable in terms of what you're doing. Obviously, you're going to have to build for Garnet Guard interactions. The healer is still safe there. That tile becomes less useful, so you'd be wanting to drop down to the bottom half of the map. Which would work quite nicely. A 3-range tile would mage would hit that quite nicely. But again, you're in Garnet Guard range, so depending on how things are panning out, it's going to be interesting. And you can have a dropped ranged fighter in if you want to do that as well. So there's things that you can do in this sort of location. Do jump in, guys, and shout out if you see anything. That's useless. That you can kind of do something with. So yeah, here again, you can have a ranged fighter behind the wall. You could maybe have something like a fast tail-in on the ground tile for a bit of CC, and maybe an Iovar shooting over the top to provide some extra damage on there. So, and then a healer somewhere in the mix. I'm trying to work out where I have my healer in that composite. Oh yeah, there's below the defender here, there's space for a healer to go in. You can't really see it in the grey behind Prospector. Yeah, there it is. So
Yeah, no, I was trying to get a pretty good layout of how the platforms and ground tiles I laid out here on the back end of the keep, because I can tell you that at least for the keep, to me, it's going to be these fighters that can extend out, right? So the Nisas, the Erlings, Imrit, maybe those are the guys that are going to see a little bit more play here. One of the compositions that we really haven't been talking about too much is Nightmare, and I think that this is where the Nightmares might lose the luster a little bit, right? So you might use Torador, but you're not going to use him as a lord for the Nightmare. It's all going to be set up around trying to make sure that you have a little bit of CC on the front, and then you protecting yourself.
That could be interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you then have a DPS mage down here, sort of 2 down from where I've got Nezar, and then what else could you have? You're short a unit still. Well, I guess I'm trying to think of a team you could put together here. So you've got DPS mage, so that's 4. So you just need 1 more unit to place, really. Or I mean, you could go Ingrid up. So, but that leaves you a mage free. But you could do that. I did experiment with this
mage
actually.
On the bottom point to the right.
So I did experiment with having Demi adding slows coming around the corner there. You've got damage coming in here. I think in the end, Demi ended up dying to bombs when I tried it, but it still kind of was causing enough chaos that it was holding to some extent. So I think that's a nice little choke point here.
Yeah, I'm trying to do some camp stuff here. Nisa's in a dangerous position in this setup. But we have to protect her.
Yeah,
because bookkeepers take her out. Bookkeepers are going to take her out. So you have to build her to make sure that the bookkeepers don't take her out, and that then you can also provide some type of protection from a healer.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, they're quite far back on the map. So if you've got someone like Earlis, or you've got a Carnelian, by the time the bookkeepers come round to here, if it's Carnelian, he'd probably have a ball on because he's the highest DPS, one of the highest DPS units in range. So that would help on that front. And Earlis would probably have healed them twice, so he'd probably have the chance for the unyielding as well. So.
Yeah, I'm used to seeing bookkeepers that don't really care if Carnelian is there or not. But I was just saying that if you can build them fast, fast enough, if it's an Ceteris compo that can build more rage really quick, then Nisa can pop her ultimates before the bookkeeper's getting her range. But that's the only warning that I would give people there for that specific round tile there.
Yeah. Okay, pulling the defender back 1 more. This is where we start getting into silly season compositions, because you can't really build it very well, because anything you put there is going to get slapped by bookkeepers. You can't put anything below him because they're going to get slapped by bookkeepers. It's almost once you've come back past this kind of midpoint, you're really into sort of almost damage mitigation mode, because there's going to be an Ingrid tile here. People are going to be running Ingrid here. It's obvious. Now, if you could have a tanky fighter there or a double tank setup, you can have a healer and a DPS mage up here. or an archer, but they're going to have to be built to take any hits from a Garnet Guard. But yeah, that could be an interesting setup there.
I imagine you see a lot of Sun Wukong there.
Yeah, Sun Wukong coming in, and then he procs, he provides monkey business, and then you've got that bit of survivability to everyone in that immediate area. Yeah, that'd be a nice one, actually.
That'll work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Except when those Templars come in and take out Ingrid.
Well, Ingrid would then also have the bounce from Sun Wukong's ultimates, so there's a chance that she would she would still survive because she's within the range of monkey business. So yeah, I think it's at least it gives you that bit more survivability against that unit. But yeah, you're going to be limited by whether she's in solar mode or stellar mode.
Yep.
And there's a
trying to
you're not. Sun Wukong will get slapped because that's a bookkeepers will get those 2 tiles to trigger before you get to them. So that's 2 tiles, bang bang. So your Sun Wukong dies before they get to do anything.
Okay, so I would just this year for Ingrid's setup, it's going to be all about who you put her with to make sure that you can do enough damage. I think you're gonna need. Okay, I can tell you this, that at least from my experiences so far with the Frozen Guardian, that this would be possibly the fellow I would send against a defense like this. Because I'll just freeze Ingrid and then try to push through, swarm it somehow after that. That's going to be the downside to that defense. Is that becomes a Frostborn nightmare, or it's going to be a weak against the Frostborn faction.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually glad that Frostborn are having a sort of coming on the rise now. They were a bit sort of lackluster when they first came out, but that's because people didn't have the Lords, and now more people have got the Lords. Are definitely starting to see how powerful they can be. So, yeah,
and then unless you put something in front to slow down Kirby, it's not enough. I don't see enough there. So it would have to be something like Mary, Greed. Just don't let Kirby double jump you. It's just there's too much space there. And then if you put Valera right behind the tank, then somebody will just figure out a way to send the Destructor with the Fool and take Valera out. Because that's all you really need. You only need him to do a couple of hits and then either consume Lily's revive
trigger.
Or
trigger,
and then or trigger Cornelian's Orb, and then you just send the second and then just get her out the map. Yeah, so you gotta be careful on how you build this type of defense if you don't have CC.
Okay,
and then again, any type of defense, I hate the one where you just give them that free space. You know, they're just turning. They don't have to go through you, right? So this year, you're only going to 2 ground tiles to then sneak in, turn right. You don't have to go through another. So, yeah, that would be the only downside to that. So. But I like the Keep much better layout here because I do see more possibility than the tower. The tower is going to be a little bit more of a headache.
Yeah, I'm kind of okay with that. So yeah, I think it's definitely some interesting things are going to happen this season. I think we're going to see some units that we haven't seen used in GvG being used in GvG. I don't know if we're going to see the cleansers, as you say, come into play yet. Tallulah is still being inconsistent. I haven't heard back in relation to my bug report about Tallulah in Zerbus yet, but I think it's something to. It definitely wasn't just a visual effect that her rings didn't come out, because there were other units that were not being cleansed around it. So there was definitely something going wrong there. But yeah, it's an interesting conundrum that we're facing at the moment with GvG. I think this is going to be an interesting season. Any final thoughts before we sign off? Prospector.
No, but that defense you got right there, right now, is probably what's going to be. Somewhere right at the front.
Yeah.
I think. Looking forward to those night Templar. The Templars coming out. They're going to be fun.
That's my favorite position here, is trying to force the demons to make that and then come in, because there's a lot of heroes that can really prevent that. So we had something similar in season, was it 7, 8, where they had to make that turn to interact right away. So at that time, based on the Demon Soldier power, it was all about making sure that you could get him to sustain long enough so you could set up a rush or something to that nature. But now we just have a whole different set of heroes, whole different set of mechanics with Demon Soldiers. So it's going to change a little bit, but I do see this engagement point of being one of the favorites.
Okay, I think that's probably a good point to call it for this episode. We've been talking for quite a long time now. I will try and get someone to join us next week for a quick rundown of the Gladiators Gauntlet maps. And so thank you very much for tuning in. And that's WoRs going on, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.